It's a great day to be a Nico Collins owner. It's probably a pretty damn bad day to be a Tyreek Hill owner. We'll dive into everything. Obviously, I need to be updating the rankings on the site ASAP. But let's just go news piece by news piece here. It's pretty late on Saturday, so I'm assuming that this is probably all we're going to get for today. Obviously, I'll be live streaming later tonight, answering all questions. And if anything else pops up, we'll answer them there. But anyway, Drake London is expected to play week 10. So if you're looking at London in our rankings this week, he is for sure a must-start wide receiver. There's really nothing to discuss. There's really nothing to think about. He is a wide receiver 1. He is currently wide receiver 11 in our rankings for week 10. Going over to the next piece of news that we have, Micah Parsons is going to be expected to play. Maybe this makes you a little less excited about the Eagles' options, but in reality, we don't need to worry about the Eagles. It's very clear. You start the receivers, you start Barkley, and you start Jalen Hurts. I see somebody in the chat saying that Jalen Hurts isn't going to play. I have not heard anything of the sort. We'll definitely cover it if it's true here. So Nico Collins remains questionable for week 10. However, he was officially activated to the 53-man roster. And let me pull up this other report that I read, because Danny sent this out. I mean, I saw it immediately as well. But I mean, Ian Rappaport tweeted that Nico Collins looks like he is going to be good to go. Ian Rappaport says a boost for Texan star wide receiver Nico Collins has been on the injured reserve with a hamstring injury and practiced just yesterday, is being activated to the 53-man roster and will play on Sunday. He was the NFL's leading receiver when he suffered the injury. So obviously it's maybe a little bit of a tough spot if you consider the fact that it is the Sunday night game. So you're not going to have 100% clarity by the time you possibly need to make that decision on Sunday morning. But if Rappaport is telling us that he's going to be good to go, I am expecting him to be good to go. So I will move him up dramatically in our rankings for this week. I'd probably slide him in right ahead of Tyreek. Obviously, we're not going to expect him to be 100% immediately, and Tyreek has his own negative news. So Whittington not listed on, who gives a damn about Jordan Whittington? Why are we getting updates there? Gus Edwards activated to the 53-man roster. Obviously, this doesn't mean you need to run out there and start Edwards by any stretch of the imagination, but you could potentially make an argument that this is all of a sudden a little negative for what you're going to get with J.K. Dobbins. So honestly, I'd probably slide Dobbins a little bit further down our ranks and put him behind Tyrone Tracy this week. Still, you are starting Dobbins if you have him. He's still very easily, at the very least, a running back too. But previously, he was seeing close to like 80% of the snaps here in Los Angeles. And that's probably going to come down just a bit with Dobbins getting into this offense. Now, Olave, officially placed on the IR, is going to miss at least 4 games. Obviously, we already knew Olave was going to miss, right? My expectation when we initially updated the rest of season rankings with Olave is I was going through and saying, oh, okay, well, he's probably going to miss weeks 10, 11, and then he has the bye week in week 12. Maybe you get maybe you get Chris Olave back in week 13. Well, now that he's placed on the IR, instead, you are going to have no Chris Olave in week 10, in week 11. He has the bye week in week 12, which doesn't count for the 4 games. You'll have no Olave in week 13, and you'll have no Olave in week 14. So Olave is now out for the rest of the fantasy football regular season. You're not going to see Chris Olave again until about mid-December. So in our rest of season ranks, I moved Olave down dramatically. I have moved Olave down to being a low-end wide receiver 3, high-end wide receiver 4. Obviously, it's beneficial that he is on the IR, so you don't have to take an active roster spot with him. Another major update for the rest of season ranks, Dak Prescott planning to undergo season-ending surgery on the partially torn hamstring, pending opinion on a final specialist. So here we had already been saying, for the love of God, sell Lamb if you can. I honestly may want to move Lamb down our rankings even further. We already had moved him down to wide receiver 12. But my expectation on what we should have here in Dallas is this is probably going to be a similar spot to what we had with no Tua in Miami. Like, let me go ahead and just pull up something real quick with the implied team totals that you should have in this offense. And one other thing I'll show as I pull this up, but obviously there are a bunch of picks over there on Underdog Fantasy for the games on Sunday if y'all wanted to go ahead and check them out. They still have a Tyreek Hill pickup, higher, lower, 76.5 receiving yards. That was the main thing that I was looking at on Underdog. Not going to lie to you, I kind of use these projections a decent amount when I submit my own starting lineups as well. But if you wanted to go through and check out any of these picks on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the description. You can find it in the comment section. You can find it in the live chat. And if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, you're going to be getting a free CJ Stroud pick, more than less than half a total yard for the game on Sunday night, plus a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. And at the same time, you'll actually get a free team review in the live stream that we are doing every single day. Just make sure you use promo code FLOCK and have an account as well set up on flockfantasy.com with the same email address. That way I know who to credit that free team review voucher with. But going over and just getting baseline expectations of how bad this Dallas Cowboys offense should be with no Dak. This week against Philadelphia, the only offenses that are projected to be worse in total points scored, according to Las Vegas sportsbooks, are going to be the Carolina Panthers, the Denver Broncos, the New England Patriots, and the Tennessee Titans. Please let me know if I'm wrong here. But are we excited about any receivers in Tennessee? Are we excited about any receivers in New England? Are we excited about any receivers in Denver? Are we excited about any receivers in Carolina? We've seen it time and time again that if you are a stud wide receiver stuck in a crappy offense, you are not going to be a great option for fantasy. So here with Lamb, maybe it seems aggressive that I've already moved him down to wide receiver 12 in our rest of season ranks. Can we just get realistic expectations for him just this week on Underdog? This week, he's higher, lower, 65.5 receiving yards. Like, comparing him to other receivers next to him in the rest of season rankings, Devontae Adams is higher, lower, 69.5 receiving yards. Now, obviously, that's only this week, and you do have a better matchup for Adams going up against the Cardinals. But just as an example of what I'm trying to show you here is CeeDee Lamb is no longer the elite wide receiver one. Very similar to what we said with Achane, Waddle, and Tyreek. The second that Tua came down is you have to dramatically lower expectations across this entire offense. I think you can make an argument to move CeeDee Lamb even lower than this, while at the same time going over and looking at the rest of season rankings at running back. Rico Dowdle, you have to put behind Pacheco. You have to put behind Rachaad White. Hell, this point with the $33 million contract extension, I'd rather have Hubbard as well. But Dowdle looks like he's a running back 3, right in the same range as like Javonte Williams, who's also in an absolute garbage offense. Now, obviously, these are the rest of season rankings, not the week 10 rankings. Those will be a little bit different. Or very different, to be honest. But let's go ahead and let's pull up our next update here. Tyreek Hill not participating in practice on Saturday. Now, this freaking terrifies me. If you have Tyreek Hill, what the hell are you supposed to do? Now, obviously, the reason a Saturday practice matters here is he missed practice on Friday and he has the Monday game. So you really need to get confirmation, at least in my mind, that Tyreek Hill is good to go for Monday before the games on Sunday, because it's going to be extremely difficult to figure out what you should do for your starting lineups. I'm going to slide Tyreek down behind some of the stud wide receivers that you know are absolute must-start options regardless. We'll put Tyreek more so as a high-end wide receiver 2 in the rankings this week, just because, like, I don't know, if you had to make the call on Sunday going, oh, for my flex spot, do I put in Drake London or do I roll the dice that Tyreek Hill plays on Monday? I would just go ahead and I just play Drake London. Now, Tank Dell is expected to play week 10. Obviously, we are going to lower expectations with Dell under the assumption that you do have Nico Collins good to go. So I'd honestly rather play like Hopkins, Pickens over Dell, to be honest with you. I think I'd rather play Amari too. So we're going to move Dell down a decent amount. We already talked about Olave here. Gus Edwards good to go. We already discussed that. Everything else, I think we have already talked about in the live stream last night. So we'll probably leave this here. Obviously, if we get any more information, I really hope we get info about Tyreek Hill specifically. We'll talk about it in the live stream tonight when we're going through and answering all your questions. But again, if you missed any of the injury updates, just scroll to the beginning of this live stream. I don't necessarily just want to repeat everything we just said. And also, of course, if you wanted to check out any of those picks for the games tomorrow, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the description. You can find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, you're going to be getting that free CJ Stroud pick, more than less than half a total yard for the game tomorrow night. And let me see. We have actually been on a little bit of a heater with the Underdog picks as of late. Now, obviously, your boy's gotten absolutely cooked with picks all season. I know if I'm just looking for something I know y'all will like, I'm not necessarily saying I love it. I know a lot of y'all will like Terry McLaurin to have more than 56.5 receiving yards. But anyway, code FLOCK, 50% deposit bonus, free team review, and that free CJ Stroud pick, more than less than half a total yard. Links in the description, links in the comment section. But I really appreciate you and really hope I get to see you out in the live stream later tonight so I can hopefully give you additional injury updates and answer all your questions as well.